It is 5:30 in the morning and I'm walking back into a block that I was in a little over a week ago. Shot a big buck out of a tree and seen another buck the day before that, which I now believe to be a young buck that I wouldn't shoot given the opportunity today, but he would have got shot the other day. But yeah, anyway, pissed with rain yesterday and into last night. The bush is dripping wet, which is making the walk in a little bit slow, just trying to dodge touching pretty much anything, because as soon as I touch something, it's raining on me. But these conditions, I believe, could very well mean that a buck is going to go and touch up scrapes. He's going to do a bit of moving around this morning, hopefully, and hopefully I can catch that movement, or better yet, hear some croaks and try and get in on them. No tree gear today because, again, the bush is just dripping wet and there's more rain forecast later. So yeah, just a quick morning mission. Hope to catch some buck movement, but if I see a doe and she gives me a good shot, I'm going to take that too. And the raw right now is, I guessing, starting to tail off, but that isn't a bad thing because bucks start moving again. So yeah, should be good. I was just sneaking up this ridge behind me here as quietly as I possibly could, but I was making the odd crack, groan, crunch. Anyway, just here, I was sitting on the hill just up here the other day, and there's a trail coming through right where I'm standing, and I seen two mature does and a yearling walk through this trail while I was sitting just up the hill, and I couldn't get a shot at them because it was too thick. So I thought, if I come, different wind today, if I come up from underneath and then get to somewhere here and just park up for a few hours, hopefully catch some movement here. And I spooked two deer off the exact spot that I was kind of had in my head to come to, where it was a little bit open. I got a couple of shots around me. So that was all good. They ran up the hill and I was just standing there listening. They let out a couple of barks and whatnot, but I was standing here for like 4-5 minutes listening. I've heard a croak way out this way, a long way off. Nothing to get too excited about, but it is a croak. And then I looked down in front of me here and I caught a tiny little bit of movement through the supplejack. And then I'm like, that's a deer. There's a deer standing right there. And then no sooner did I zoom in on that deer and another one walks into frame. And long story short, I spent like 15 minutes with those deer pretty close, but it's so thick in here. I can see why the deer are in here. There's heaps of cover for them in here. Anyway, eventually one came into the open, well, open-ish. I got to full draw, but she seen me move. And then I was just trying to pick a little gap through a couple of sticks in front of me, and yeah, she took off, but not too spooked. So I'm just going to hold fire, sit right here for a bit. That was my plan anyway. Hopefully a buck sense tracks those deer, or another doe. This is obviously a very well used trail. That's the third time today that I've been full draw on a deer that is well inside 20 meters, and I just couldn't get a clear shot to the vitals. On the bright side, I was full draw on that deer here at 10 meters for so long that I just couldn't hold full draw anymore, and I had to let down. And when I let down, I didn't get busted. And I don't think I've ever let my bow down when a deer has been that close without getting busted. So that is a win, and that is the positive out of today's hunting, which, hey, it's a good thing. It's a long way back to the truck from here, so I don't have to carry it. Although it wouldn't have weighed much. That was one of them rising 2-year-olds. Oh. Anyway, got my wind. I think it got my wind when I was full drawn it the first time, and then I let down and thought, oh yeah, it's gone, it's got my wind. And then it turned up again. It was almost like it was looking for me. Suicidal deer. It's raining. It's 15 minutes early. I'm coming back. Man, have I got a story for you. After I had to let down on that doe and had to let down for the third time in a single day, which has to be some kind of record, I ran into a buck. Well, sorry, a buck just about ran into me. I was tangled up in some supplejack, heard some noise, looked behind me to see this massive set of antlers coming up a gut at me. When I first seen this buck, it was like 15 meters away. I was in panic. I don't have any footage of this thing. I didn't push record. It all happened way too quickly. But just to give you a quick story, he got to 5 meters. I got to full draw. He seen me draw the bow and gapped it. But this buck is a jumbo, and I really, really want to hunt this buck. So I rang Milan this morning and said, dude, can I go hunting for this week? Because we were supposed to go do some lateral line fishing missions. But yeah, cancelled that. I'm on this buck. I'm camped here for the next 4 nights. And I've got the next 4 full days to hunt this buck. I can't see why he would leave that area. There's does there. It's perfect. Everything's perfect. The wind's perfect. It is all perfect. And all I need is for that buck to get in bow range again, and this time just be ready for him, not get completely caught out like I did. So yeah, that is me. The next 4 days hunting for this buck. This hunt should be awesome. Change of plans. Looks like I'm not going as far as I thought I was. I got a tree close to that buck. He's not where I thought he was. I don't have a tree, but I got a bit of open country in front of me. So I might try a rattle. There's 2. 2 bucks croaking reasonably close, and I'm just waiting to hear boom and some other hunters sneaking in on them. Oh, that was close. Real close. I've got fresh as marks right here, and I've got a buck croaking uphill from me right now, and the tree that I wanted to climb is real close to where he is. Wind's good, but I got one croaking out this way, and the wind's not good for that one. What do you do? This one could be the one that I seen and one that I want, and this one could be a rubbish one, or a young one, or vice versa. I'm up in a tree. This could very well work. I'm going to wait half an hour and then I'm going to give a rattle. Where I seen the deer the other day, 2 days ago, nearly got one. Just through there, like 20 metres away, there's a trail that comes through here and up there, and there's another one coming right underneath this tree by the look of it. He's close, and I've rattled at him, and I know he must be able to hear it, so I'm guessing he's got a doe. Or he's just taking a sweet time. Turns out that I am in the right spot. I've seen more deer out of this tree today than I've seen in all the tree hunting that I've done for 2024. But every single deer that I've seen has got my wind, and there's only one of those deer that I could have made a shot at. So staying in this tree seems a little bit silly. Even though I feel like I'm in the hot spot, if that buck that I seen comes through here, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get a shot at him. Turns out that the buck croaking up the hill here is the buck that I very nearly let an arrow loose at the other day, and the very same one that Howard and Jared let go. So even if he was standing right here, I wouldn't shoot him today after getting that big mature buck. And the first day I seen him, it was just like, oh, he's a big mature buck, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. But now I'm looking at him going, he could do with a couple more years, so we'll give him a couple more years. So yeah, anyway, I think I'm going to get down out of this tree because, again, confidence is low that I'm going to get a shot at any deer that comes through here given what I've seen. But I've got to come up with a plan first. Day done. Here we go again. I'm about to pack up all my gear and get myself back in the bush. And today I'm going to go after a croaking buck. I heard like 3 different bucks croaking yesterday, and they were croaking until like 10 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, I'm going to do my best to get in bow range of a croaking buck. The rut, going on what I heard yesterday, is in full swing right now. And I'm guessing this full-on croaking action is only going to last for like a week or so. And then the animals will spread out and they'll be a little bit harder to find again. So yeah, gonna make the most of it. This one should be really good fun. Sneaking in on a croaking buck has to be one of the most exciting things that I can do in the hunting year. So bring it on. I got a big stinky scrape right in front of me, and I've heard just 2 single croaks less than 100 meters that way. Wind's perfect. So I think I'm just going to park up here for a bit. It's been a big day of not a lot really. I found a lot of sign that's like a day or 2 old, but nothing that's real super fresh that got me real excited, that got me wanting to hang around or do too much sneaking. So I'm back at the spot where I seen the doe and the 3-legged spiker. Another victim of the fences here, although to be fair, he got off lightly. But yeah, anyway, just sitting here. This area stinks of buck. When I walked in this morning, I could smell buck. When I walked back in here this afternoon, I could smell buck. And there was a buck croaking just over this little ridge here. And if I go down in there, I know the wind's just going to swirl around everywhere, so there's just no point. The best thing I can do is wait here and hope he comes to the scrape that's just in front of me. So yeah, I'll sit here for as long as I can, as long as my patience will hold out, and then back to camp. I walked past a croaking buck this morning, knowing that he's in a mean area to go tree hunting, so that's tomorrow's plan. Got croaks coming from the same place they were coming from yesterday. So let's get in this tree and hope I can rattle them in. There's a little bit of rain this morning crossing the farm, and there's a little bit of rain forecast from like 11 o'clock on, which will send me packing. And there's a buck croaking close to camp, and he'll have a doe. The buck that's croaking close to camp's only a young buck, but he's croaking because he's got a doe, and I'll try and get his doe. But yeah, first up, see if I can rattle this buck in. Well, my plan was to sit in this tree until 11 o'clock, and it's just gone 11 o'clock, so I'm about to get down and move. Well, I'm going to go down this ridge a few hundred meters. There were scrapes down there at the start of the roar. If any of those scrapes look like they've been worked over in the last few days, then I'll climb a tree there. If not, I'm going back to camp. But anyway, I seen a buck. Going on the very limited amount of what I seen, it was a young buck. I wouldn't have shot him, but it was a buck, and I seen it. And to be honest, I don't know where he came from or where he went. I just caught a glimpse of him after hearing a little noise through the trees down here, and yeah, I don't know where he went. I rattled about 20 minutes after I seen him, and then a buck started croaking down the ridge where I'm headed. So I'm guessing that was him, but yeah, I would say that he probably came to the rattle, but maybe because he was a young buck, he didn't really want to get tangled up with a mature buck and get a hiding, so he was a bit standoffish, because they know the square meter that you were standing on when you rattled, so he knew where the noise came from, and he kept his distance. So anyway, what I'm about to do now is exactly what I did about this time last year. I seen a buck in this tree, a young buck, didn't shoot it, and then I went down this ridge a couple hundred meters, climbed the tree and shot a big mature buck. So hopefully today is a repeat of that day, and it'll be awesome. Me. 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 I didn't find the sign that I was desperately hoping to find, open scrapes and trails of bucks running around everywhere. There was a few fresh marks, but yeah, not what I think is a big mature buck. Just going to give it an hour or two in this tree. The wind's perfect. There is another tree just down here that I wanted to climb, but I don't reckon the wind's going to be quite right down there. I'm better off where I am. And this seems to be more of a choke point in the bush, more chance of a doe here. Down there's kind of like just a scrape, and yeah, anyway, gonna do my very best, and then I'll go back to camp and have a crack at the camp buck. I just spooked 2 does just up the hill from me, and I got a buck croaking. The boundary line's like 100 meters in front of me, and I'm not sure whether he's on this property or the neighbouring property. So I might just hang back for a bit, hopefully because of those 2 does up here. He's coming this way. This could be good. Well, that was super exciting. Croaking buck. I got a funny feeling he was on the neighbour's property, but only just. So instead of going for a massive hour-and-a-half hike to get to the hunting grounds out the back tomorrow, I'm going to hunt right here, have a bit of a sleep in, go after that buck. I did see a buck down here that I think was doing the croaking, and he was only a young buck, but I seen 2 does. And to be honest with you, the first deer that gives me a shot is going to get shot at. I wouldn't shoot a young buck though, but a doe, a yearling, yeah, mature buck, it's on. Bring it on. I'm pretty excited now. I was a little bit lost for what I was going to do tomorrow, and that has just changed everything. Excitement levels are jacked. This may be a little bit stupid, but I'm gonna go back out onto the public land and chase after a big, mature buck, even though this one's croaking right here. I'm pretty sure he's a young fella. So I don't want to burn up what I think is my last honest shot at a big, mature buck. The roar's tapering off, and outside of the roar, I just don't see bucks out the back. So, yeah, Howard and Jared went into an area yesterday and said that it was tore up. And there's an area just past where they were that none of us have been into this year. And last year we went in there and rattled antlers, and a buck came in that was so big that Jared said he felt like he had a quad shot of coffee. He was shaking so bad. And ended up getting that buck on a trail camera a few weeks after that at the tail end of last year's roar. And he's a good buck, and he's not the typical chocolate buck. He's got the spots and the beautiful skin. So, yeah, gonna go into that area today and climb trees, rattle antlers, and hope to do exactly the same thing that we did that day, which is draw the quad coffee buck into bow range. And then, yeah, off home today. Today being like the 19th of April, I think, somewhere there. And yeah, this camping trip being the last camping trip here when it's the roar. So gonna make the most of it. Here we go. I think I got ghosted, but I don't think he went the way he needed to go to get my wind. So if he hasn't got my wind, then all I'm going to do is assume that he still thinks I'm a deer. And the tree that I was going to climb was literally 5 meters from where he was bedded. So I'm going to climb that tree and stay there for as long as I can. He might come back, and I'll rattle when I'm in the tree too. This plateau where all the scrapes are is only like, it wouldn't be 100 meters and then it drops off. And I'm hoping that he's stopped before the end and bedded back up again. And at some point he comes back this way for a look. He was bedded on a scrape right here that looks really, really old. And if I'd seen that scrape, I would have been, no bucks around here, and just walked past it. And he was sitting right beside it. Good little learning curve. But yeah, that buck heard me rattle the antlers before, came 10 or 15 steps towards me and then stopped and stood still. And then I thought that he dropped off down this gut to swing around to get downwind of me. But it's really, really steep. And I don't reckon he did. I reckon he slowly toddled back this way, which means he hasn't got my wind. My wind's perfect, it's blowing straight across this ridge and straight off this big drop off right here. So if he did toddle off that way, he's got no idea that it was a man with a bow and arrow that was just there. He's thinking, I'll just take this doe that I've got with me away from these other boys. I'll come back and sort them out later. So I'm going to be in this tree for as long as I possibly can now. I didn't bring enough clothes for that. So, good buck. He had 8 points on one side, but the other side was just a palm and a point up the top. But he had the best brow tines out of any buck that I've ever seen in this block. So if he comes back, I'm definitely shanking him. I've been in this tree for an hour and a half. I think if this buck was going to come back, he would have done it by now. And I've rattled again to encourage him. But yeah, I don't think it's worth staying here. So I'm going to pull the pin. Last year, I reckon I seen that very same buck way down in the gut down here, and I spooked him. And then I followed his mark, spooked him again, followed his mark, spooked him again, and he ended up going right through here. So I reckon this is a reverse of last year. So if I take my time, I might just see this buck again. You wouldn't believe it. I'm just charging up the main track and I just spooked a buck. I came around the corner and there was a buck sitting right there. Like I was looking through a heap of junk to see him, but he was just sitting on the main track. And it was a different buck because both sides of his antlers were turned in. The one I seen this morning was only one side of his antler turned in. The other one was a bit weaker. So, wow, 2 bucks in a day. That's pretty cool. No deer were harmed in the making of this video, which is 99% of my hunting. And yeah, it's hunting is what it is, right? I love it. I've seen 3 different mature bucks in 5 days of hunting. I mean, it's the raw, but that's got to be some kind of record for me. So yeah, it is awesome. I love it. I will keep doing it. And hopefully you'll keep watching it, and that'll give me a reason to keep doing it. So cheer, my brothers and sisters. Thank you all so very, very much for watching the Boulder Triangle. It is heaps and heaps and heaps of fun. And maybe one day I'll have enough time to just sit around and edit for days on end, and I can make more of them. See you all again very, very soon.